What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So progressives are finally open to Senator Joe Manchin's new stimulus framework, and I want to explain what this means moving forward and why this could also mean we could see additional delays. So make sure you stick around for this entire video so that you understand exactly what is going on. Because earlier this week, we knew that President Biden was going to give his State of the Union address. Well, that happened on Tuesday. He mentioned multiple times throughout this State of the Union address that his plan to help the American people, and kind of address certain things. He talked about what has worked in the past and what Congress should be doing and trying to pass moving forward. But he also mentioned something called the Building a Better America plan. Now, this is essentially just the Build Back Better Act with a new name. That's really all it is. Now, after his State of the Union address, we heard a lot of lawmakers talk about what was either included and they liked or they didn't like, what President Biden completely missed or never touched on. And we also heard from Senator Joe Manchin, and he laid out his framework to get a bill passed on the so-called Build Back Better Act. And he said that it must consist of a few things. And here's what we know. First, we need to come to an agreement on the tax reform and prescription drug reform. The reason why these are the first things that we need to do is because these are what we call revenue generators. And for the second part of the bill to determine what would actually pass as far as things like climate and the social issues, we need to understand how much money we have to work with. It's like if you're going to go and buy a new car or buy a house, you don't just go and show up at some random house and I like it, right? I'm going to buy it, if you don't know what your budget is. So the first step is understand the budget. Now, it's a little more complicated than just understanding the overall budget and what the revenue generators are going to bring in. So let's address that, because here's what I can tell you. This framework is extremely vague, but this is something that, according to the U.S. Progressive Chairwoman Pramila Jayapal, she says that her caucus can work with this, that this is something they can work with. And she made it very clear that a deal is possible, but it's going to have multiple caveats. So she ended up saying that the place to start would be to agree on the specifics of what revenue generators can actually be get the support of Senator Joe Manchin. That's the first thing. Then, once Senator Joe Manchin agrees to whatever it is, then the goal would be to get the other 49 Senate Democrats on board with Senator Joe Manchin's demands as well. This is where we're going to start to see a little bit of delays, because some are going to be like, oh, well, Senator Joe Manchin wants that. Well, I like that idea, but if he's going to get that, I want this. And that's where we're going to get the negotiations to really ramp up. So just expect that to happen. And finally, once all the revenue generators have been agreed to by Senator Joe Manchin and the other 49 Senate Democrats, then the goal would be to put together a list. Okay, not negotiate anything, just put together a list of what could be funded with the revenue generators that they have agreed upon. Okay, so let's say it's $800 billion. Well, what could they pass with $800 billion? Now, and I understand this may sound very straightforward, but this is the problem. The problem is this could come with multiple delays, just delay after delay after delay. So if you're expecting this to happen this week, it's not, okay? Could we see negotiations start? Of course. But are we going to see this head to President Biden's desk at the end of this week? No. And I'll address when we could see this actually make it to his desk. But Senator Joe Manchin stated that he's open to any package as long as it includes some corporate tax reforms, higher taxes on the the top earners in the United States. He said he liked these in the Build Back Better Act, and he continues to like these and support these now. He also mentioned he's open to raising money by allowing the government the ability to negotiate prescription drug prices as well. This is big. These are two of the revenue generators. But he did make it extremely clear that with all these revenue generators, he also wants to see a chunk of the money pushed back into the deficit reduction. That's a key. It's not just take all the new money and push it into the climate bill or other things like that and other social issues. It's we're going to push some into climate and social issues, but first we need to push some back into the deficit reduction. That's key to him. Now, finally, after the money has been brought in and there's some going back to deficit reduction, he says the remaining money could be pushed to fund proposals for combating climate change and tax incentives to encourage manufacturing and alternate energy sources. Now, here's another firm demand that Senator Joe Manchin has. And again, all these things have been temporarily agreed to by the U.S. Progressive Caucus, or at least the chairwoman, Pramila Jayapal. But Senator Joe Manchin has a firm demand that all programs must be permanent. And if lawmakers can't figure out the math and make it work, changing the length of a program to make it fit is not something that he's going to support. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Even though it's something that's possible, right? It's an option. It's not an option for Senator Joe Manchin. Now, the U.S. Progressive Chairwoman Pramila Jayapal stated, and I quote, "We're open to putting some of it towards deficit reduction and then climate." And then she goes on to say, "We'd have to see all the details, but progressives are absolutely committed to trying to deliver as much as we can. Even the items on this more limited list are all big progressive priorities." So, here's what you need to expect, okay? Or at least what you can expect later on this week. And I'm not saying this is the way it has to be, but this is the way it seems based off what lawmakers are doing at this point. Right now, the Russia-Ukraine crisis is still the thing that's taking the top priority, okay? We will see Congress work on getting the government funding bill, and this is something that they're going to start to do this week as well. They've been already working on this. Chances are we're going to see it this weekend as well, but they're going to continue to push for this later on this week. Now, this would also include the $32.5 billion that is going to go towards, I think it's, $10 billion for Ukraine, and the other $22.5 billion for COVID. Now, chances are we're going to see the Senate also try to confirm the Supreme Court nominee, okay? So keep that in mind. The Russia-Ukraine crisis, the government funding bill, and we also got the Supreme Court nominee. Those are all going to be prioritized over any additional, so-called Build Back Better plan, all right? So that's what you need to keep in mind, is that even though this bill will be pushed, understand that even though there's large groups of lawmakers that want to see this pass, it could still take another couple of months just to get this to President Biden's desk, okay? So that's what I want you to keep in mind, is that, yes, it's a priority. Many people believe this is a priority and this will help. But here's the thing that you need to keep in mind. Is it going to be prioritized over things like, we got to figure out what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, because if this continues, gas prices are going to go through the roof. Seriously. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and I mentioned how I was driving past, I think it was like a Safeway or something, and gas prices were like $3.89 or something like that. A little bit more than national average, or as of yesterday. And I was driving past it and thought, oh, okay, $3.89. I better fill up pretty soon. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go. I went to Costco, got some stuff, and decided to fill up at Costco. Well, Costco was $3.93 or something, so a little bit more. But I just filled up at Costco anyway. Driving back home, I went by Safeway again, okay, on my way home. And Safeway jumped in the matter of a couple of hours, jumped to $4.08. So I can't make this up. That's how insane gas prices are right now. I'm scared to drive down the street and see what gas prices are today, right? I'm not even gonna leave the house because I'm worried what they're gonna be. I filled up my truck, filled up all the cars, we're good, and hopefully it's not $5 a gallon by the next time I go and get gas. But again, that's the worry with Russia and Ukraine, is gas prices are going to be insane. So that's what we know at this time. But as always, as I know more, I promise I will bring you the latest news and updates. So just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.